Hey, what's going on, everybody? Call That Real here. And today, the day has finally come. What day is that, you might ask? Well, you've seen the title of the video, you've clicked on it, and now you're here. That's right, it's my 5.2 to 5.3 Survival Hunter Guide. I've got so many requests for this over the past couple of months of me running this channel. People want to see how I do, what I'm doing, and when I do it. Here it is, guys. Finally out. So let's jump right into this, guys. Go ball to the wall and get this done. First thing we're going to take a look at is our specialization. We are survival, like I mentioned. We are a rugged tracker who favors using animal venom, explosives, and traps as a deadly weapon. And as such, we get explosive shot. This is the #1 dealing damaging attack for this spec. We're going to want to keep this on cooldown at all times. It's got just a short 6-second cooldown, so it's not that hard to do. As you guys will see in the SCADA image that I'm putting up on screen here, it does 2 times as much damage as the next attack on my SCADA. It's got a proc called Lock and Load associated with it, which is triggered by Black Arrow here. And when Lock and Load triggers, you're going to get 2 free casts of explosive shot, as well as fully resetting the cooldown on it. What you want to do with this Lock and Load proc is fire all 3 off as fast as possible. Now, in past expansions, this wouldn't have been such a good thing to do because the dots would have overread each other and you wouldn't have gotten as much output from it. But what Blizzard has done in Mists of Pandaria, is that they allow the dots to kind of sort of roll into each other, so they're not overriding, they're working together, so to speak. We get our Cobra Shot, which replaces Steady Shot, dealing 70% of weapon damage in the form of nature damage and increasing the duration of your Serpent Sting on the target by 6 seconds, generating 14 focus in the meantime. And it's also usable while moving. Not very many classes out there have something that has a cast time that you can use while moving. We're going to want to use this when we have downtime and we have sub 30 focus. So anything below 30 focus, we're going to be wanting to cast off a couple Cobra shots so that way we bank enough focus for when something comes off of cooldown. This also adds 6 seconds to the remaining duration of your Serpent Sting poison on your target. This eliminates the need to have to constantly apply Serpent Sting via the spell itself. You just apply it once at the beginning of the fight and maintain it using Cobra Shot. Next we have Black Arrow, requiring 35 focus, and fires a black arrow at the target, dealing 88,180 damage over 20 seconds. Black Arrow shares a cooldown with other fire trap spells, meaning your explosive trap, rather. You're going to want to keep this on your target at all times, so you're going to keep it off a cooldown. It does have low DPS, but a high damage per cast. What that means is one cast of this does a lot of damage over time. However, it's not going to do a lot of damage per immediate second. This is what triggers your Lock and Load procs, which is why I say you're going to want to keep it on the target at all times. The dot does last shorter than the cooldown, however. You see, it does damage over 20 seconds, but the cooldown is 24 seconds. So you're going to have some downtime on that. It's completely unavoidable. It does give you time to prepare for it, however, and cast your Cobra Shot to get your focus up for that Black Arrow. Next thing we gain in survival is called Trap Mastery. Reduces the cooldown of all traps and Black Arrow by 6 seconds and provides additional benefits on each trap. Ice Trap and Freezing Trap increases their duration by 30%. So this is going to allow you to keep 2 Ice Traps active at all times. Explosive Trap and Black Arrow increases their damage by 30%. Like I said, Black Arrow isn't that high of a damage attack, but this allows it to be even extra damage. Snake Trap increases the number of snakes summoned by 4. That's kind of irrelevant. Snake Trap isn't a DPS increase at all. In fact, with testing that I've done, casting a Snake Trap, spending time to set it up and all that, is actually a DPS loss. So that covers that for that. We're going to jump into the talents next. Alright, and I'm sure as most of you guys know by now, Blizzard has completely overhauled the talent system in Mists of Pandaria. Most talents are situational. You can change them between fights depending on what you need to roll with. There's no must-have cookie-cutter formula for this anymore. You're gonna want to keep your Tomes of the Clear Mind packed with you at all times, so you can change, like I said, in between encounters, depending on what you're going to need with each encounter. On our first tier here, the level 15 tier, It's mostly movement enhancing. The first one we have is called Post Haste, which allows your disengage to free you from all movement impairing effects and increase your movement speed by 60% for 8 seconds. So if something's going to lock you down and then cast something right on top of you, you're going to want to have Post Haste, so that way it allows you to break free from the CC and get the hell out of it. Next one we have is Narrow Escape, very good for player versus player situations. Stops enemies in their tracks, encasing them in a web trap for 8 seconds. This next one is called Crouching Tiger, Hidden Chimera. Reduces the cooldown of disengage by 10 seconds and the cooldown of deterrence by 60 seconds. This is going to allow you to pop your deterrence more often, become immune to certain damage, and reduce all other damage by 30% more often. It's also going to reduce the cooldown of disengage, allowing you to back away from the action more often and get out of there and get out of melee range if you're in PvP, or get out of some sticky situation if you're doing some PvE. The next tier, for level 30, it's mostly crowd control. We have Silencing Shot, which is my favorite one for this tier, especially for PvE or PvP. It has amazing uses in either one. A shot that silences the target and interrupts spellcasting for 3 seconds. Running in your 5-man heroic dungeons, not very many people will interrupt stuff. Even in some LFR instances, people won't interrupt stuff. So this is going to give you higher utility to your class, interrupt those spells, and prevent a wipe. Wyvern Sting simply puts a target to sleep for 30 seconds. This is going to give you effectively 2 forms of crowd control. You're going to have your Wyvern Sting to put a target to sleep, and then you're also going to have your Ice Trap to encase a target in ice. You are going to want to couple this with a stop attack macro, though, if you do decide to use it, because, as it states in the tooltip, any damage will cancel the effect. So if you put your Wyvern Sting on there, and then your pet goes to attack, or you get off an auto shot, it's going to break the CC right away. Next one we have is called Binding Shot. You fire a magical projectile tethering the enemy and any other enemies within 5 yards of the landing arrow for 10 seconds. If those targets move 5 yards away from the arrow, they are stunned for 5 seconds. This has a few uses in PvE and plenty of uses in PvP. If you have a pack of mobs that, say during the Sulong encounter in Terrace of Endless Springs, during the day phase where you have to keep the tiny mobs from reaching Sulong or they will damage him, put this down, and if one of them comes in its path, it's going to be stunned for 5 seconds, allowing you to kill it. Next tier is all about survivability here. First one's called Exhilaration. What this does is a big on-demand heal. It does have a long cooldown though, so keep that in mind. And this you're going to have to track yourself if you want to take effect of it. Heals you for 30% and your pet for 100%. But that being that 2-minute cooldown kind of takes it too far out of the range for my liking, as well as you having to cast this yourself. Next one is what most people roll with when they're in their dungeons or in their LFR or when they're raiding. It's called Aspect of Ironhawk. What this does is replaces Aspect of the Hawk, giving you the same ranged attack power benefit of 15%. However, this one reduces all damage taking at all times by 15%. Next we have Spirit Bond. This is while your pet is active, you and your pet will regenerate 2% of total health every 2 seconds. I like to keep this one active when I'm out questing, doing dailies and such, exploring the world. If you get into a fight with a pack of mobs, there's not very much chance hunters have for healing themselves. This gives you a great overtime heal. Next here is all about focus regeneration. First off we have Fervor, which instantly restores 50 focus to you and your pet, an additional 50 focus over 10 seconds. This effectively gives you 100 focus every 30 seconds. Half of it, of course, comes instantly and half over time. However, this again is something you have to track by yourself and cast by yourself, making it not that desirable for many out there. Next we have Dire Beast. Summons a powerful wild beast to attack your target for 15 seconds. Each time the beast deals damage, you will gain 5 focus. So with this, of course, you get an extra pet by your side, doing extra damage. Each time the pet does an attack, you will regain focus. This is plenty of focus throughout any fight. I've done 13-minute fights with Dire Beast, had plenty of focus to pull out first place or second place in DPS, and that's also thanks to the Dire Beast himself doing extra damage. Next, we're going to talk about Thrill of the Hunt. It's a passive ability which gives you a 30% chance when you fire a ranged attack that costs focus or kill command to reduce the focus cost of your next 3 arcane shots or multi-shots by 20. This is going to give you 3 free arcane shots or 3 half-price multi-shots. It's good for AoE encounters, not so much for single target. As I mentioned, with single target, Dire Beast is more than enough focus throughout any length of encounter. Next here we have a DPS cooldown. Finally, getting all the way to level 75 to get our DPS cooldowns. First one, we have a Murder of Crows. Summons a flock of crows to attack your target over the next 30 seconds. If used on a target below 20% health, the cooldown is reduced to 60 seconds. This is great high single target damage. You're going to want to keep it on cooldown, meaning every 2 minutes you're going to want to be firing this bad boy off. That is to say, if the target's going to last throughout the whole 30 seconds. Next one we have is called Blink Strike. Causes your pet to instantly teleport behind an enemy target up to 40 yards away from your pet and inflicts 600% normal damage. Lags behind for survivability basically because our pets do not get increased attack power such as in Beast Mastery. Murder of Crows is still far ahead for single target damage. Next we have Link's Rush. Your pet rapidly charges from target to target, attacking 9 times over 4 seconds. Each attack causes the target to bleed for 7,050 damage over 15 seconds, stacking up to 9 times. Now, single target, this is not really that good. However, in an AoE situation, you're going to want to be rolling with Link's Rush. Does damage to each mob that you're attacking. Next is the level 90 tier, where we have another DPS cooldown. First one is called Glaive Toss. You hurl 2 glaives towards a target, each dealing 10,141 damage to each enemy struck and reducing their movement speed by 30% for 3 seconds. The primary target, the target at which the glaives are going to come together at, will take 4 times as much damage from each strike. This has a very short cooldown of only 15 seconds and a very low cost of only 15 focus. This is also the highest damaging in this tier for single target. Next ability is called Power Shot. You wind up a powerful shot which deals 600% weapon damage to the target and 300% weapon damage to all enemies in between you and the target. Moving targets can avoid this damage, however. This has a cast timer of 1.89 seconds, and being a hunter, we're trying to avoid things that have cast time. We already have our Cobra Shot. We don't really need anything else to add cast time in and take away time that we could be using other abilities, such as our Explosive Shot. The next ability is called Barrage. Rapidly fire a spray of shots forward for 2.5 seconds, dealing a total of 640% weapon damage to the enemy target, that is to say your primary target, and an average of 320% weapon damage to each other enemy target in front of you, usable while moving. So it is a channeled spell that you can use while running around. It does have a higher focus cost than Glaive Toss, but what I found through my testing is Barrage actually has higher reliability for AoE targeting than Glaive Toss. In AoE situations, you are going to be rolling with Barrage. Next, we're going to be talking about our glyphs. There's just a couple glyphs that I recommend you rolling with as a must. First is Glyph of Liberation, which is new in 5.2. Each time you disengage, you're healed for 5% of your total health. So this is really going to help your healers out. If you're getting into a sticky situation, press that disengage, get out of there, and you're going to regain 5% of your health. Next is Animal Bond. While your pet is active, all healing done to you and your pet is increased by 10%. Again, this is going to help your healers out big time. Minor glyphs, there's really only one that I recommend. It's Glyph of Stampede. Your Stampede no longer summons all your pets from your stable, and instead uses copies of your current pet. So if you have pets that are in your stable, say you have tenacity pets in there or cunning pets in there, and you use your Stampede, it's going to bring those pets out. Those pets are going to be using their abilities, such as their taunt, any crowd control that they have, etc. This is not good for DPS situations, as you're going to be having ferocity pets out at all times doing their damage. Frosty, of course, as we know, has higher damage, which brings me to the point of the pet you're going to be wanting to roll with is a ferocity pet of really just about any kind. I prefer my cat. Being ferocity, you get several key abilities, increasing the pet's damage. Rabbit here increases your pet's attack speed by 70% for 20 seconds. It's not really reliable when left on auto cast though. That's what I found out over time, so you're going to be wanting to macro this in with something. I usually tend to keep it macroed in with my Murder of Crows, as they both have a 2-minute cooldown. Heart of the Phoenix allows you to instantly revive your pet to full health if it gets killed. Dash is going to get your pet to its target faster rather. Spiked Collar again increases the pet's damage as well as combat experience. The next thing I'm going to be wanting to talk to you guys about is your stat priority as a survival hunter. We're going to be looking at agility as our main stat, and that's going to be over expertise, which is equal to hit. Both of those are going to be better than critical strike, which is equal to haste. Both of those are going to be better than mastery. As a survival hunter, our agility increases our attack power and gives us a little bit of a bonus to our crit. Expertise, we're going to be wanting to get to 7.5% to avoid our attacks being dodged. Hit, we're going to want to get to 7.5% to avoid our attacks missing. As we all know, a miss or a dodged attack is a straight up DPS loss. That is an explosive shot that's going to miss that could have hit for upwards of 180k total throughout all of its ticks, which that's very detrimental to our DPS. Crit, of course, is going to increase our chance to critically strike. Haste decreases the cast time of Cobra Shot. It increases our auto attack speed and gives us faster focus regeneration. Our Mastery as Survival increases our magical based damage, which is not really key to survival. It gives such a minimal increase that all the other stats, haste, crit, and hit and expertise outweigh it by just tons. When it comes to reforging, you're going to be wanting to reforge out of mastery at all costs and out of any excess hit or expertise. So that's saying over 7.5% of hit or expertise you're going to want to reforge out of and into either crit or haste. There is an add-on that I like to use for this. It's called Reforge Lite. I'll be releasing a guide for that here in the next couple days so you guys can get a good look at that. Our gems, our meta for our helm, we're going to be looking at, if you don't have the legendary unlocked, you're going to be looking at the Agile Primal Diamond. We're going to be wanting to gem for straight agi throughout all of our gear pieces, unless the socket bonus equals crit or haste or agility. Of course, the red in prismatic, we're going to be looking at the Delicate Primordial Ruby, which increases our agility by 160. Yellows, we're going to be looking at Deadly or Deft Vermilion Onyxes for either critical strike rating or haste, respectively. Our blue gems, we're going to be looking at Glinting or Accurate Imperial Amethyst for hit or expertise rating, respectively. And then let's hop right into the cream of the crop, what I'm sure most of you guys came here for, the rotation. Our key points when we're using our rotation is we want to make sure that we are going to apply Hunter's Mark before the boss or mob, whatever it is pulled. That way we are guaranteed 100% uptime on that. We're going to want to maintain 100% uptime on Serpent Sting by using Cobra Shot. You're going to want to use Explosive Shot every time it comes off of its cooldown. When lock and load procs, you're going to want to fire 3 explosive shots in quick succession. Use Kill Shot below 20%. As a survival hunter, you can kill shot twice in a row for more damage and give you a little bit extra time to regenerate your focus for your other abilities. You're going to want to keep Black Arrow off of cooldown so it helps trigger those lock and load procs. Keep Glaive Toss or whatever abilities you guys have spec'd into off of cooldown. You're going to want to keep a focus reserve of at least around 30 focus for abilities coming off of cooldown. That's just about it. So let's hop in and I'll show you guys a basic rotation here. Like I said, you're going to want to put your Hunter's Mark on ahead of time. And let's see how good I can do this under the pressure of video recording. You're going to want to pre-pot like a boss. You're going to get your Serpent Sting on ASAP, Black Arrow, Explosive Shot. You're going to fire off your Dire Beast, Rapid Fire, Stampede, Glaive Toss. Get your Murder of Crows rolling, Explosive Shot. You're going to want to refresh Serpent Sting real quick, get a nice long duration on it since I have nothing else going on. Get a couple of Arcane Shots off since I have too much focus. Arcane Shot. Glaive Toss is about to come off. Here we go. Rapid Fire has worn off. We're going to hit our Explosive Shot and Black Arrow once more. Hit our Readiness. Get another dire beast up, get another rapid fire, get another murder of crows. Refresh that serpent sting at all times. Explosive shot, glaive toss, arcane shot, arcane shot. You're going to want to keep track of that black arrow debuff on the enemy target when it's about to run off. Black arrow, explosive shot. There goes a lock and load proc. Fire off 3 explosive shots rapidly. And that just about does it for the single target rotation. You guys can see basically what I'm doing off of that. You guys can see I was doing about 100k there sustained until the end where I slacked off a bit. So that about does it for the Hunter Guide for 5.2 going into 5.3. Of course, there's going to be a couple changes to Hunters going into 5.3 once it hits live. Not too many, though. The only ones that I found so far is Aspect of the Hawk and Aspect of the Iron Hawk are getting a buff. They're going from 15% increase to attack power to 25%. Binding Shot, that ability I was telling you about for CC, where's that, right here, is being changed to only being obtainable by marksman hunters. It's being replaced by Intimidation, which used to be a marksman only talent for crowd control. It's now going to be available to all hunters as your level 30 talent. And Blink Strike down here is now going to become a passive ability. Pet's basic attack is going to be increased by 50%. It is really the only thing I'm seeing come out of that. Beastmaster Hunters going into 5.3 are getting a massive AoE buff. Beastmaster AoE ability called Beast Cleave, which after you multi-shot allows your pet to do AoE damage, is going up to 75% as opposed to 50% of damage. Marksman's getting a buff to Bombardment, allowing their multi-shot to do 60% of damage up from 30%. Survival, I'm not seeing any buffs for right now apart from the buff to Aspect of the Hawk and Aspect of the Iron Hawk. And that just about does it for this guide, guys. I'm going to get some more footage, release another video in a couple days showing you the Survival Hunter in action. Other than that, please like this video, comment, rate, and subscribe. Everybody have a good day.